So September 2017 was Nativeland 3, and Nativeland 4 just dropped August 2020. That was almost a 3-year gap. What do you attribute that to? Just being busy with other projects?
Yeah, 100%. The last couple years prior to COVID, traveling has picked up like tremendously. I was going to all the Pro Cups because I was helping judge, and we were filming for the Vans video Shimmer. I got married. What else? I'm trying to think what other projects. Some stuff with cinema. Like this one, I feel like I wasn't even planning on doing a Nativeland 4. I figured I was like, 3 is good. That's like a trilogy. You know what I mean? The Nativeland trilogy. It sounded cool to me in my head. And then, I don't know, we started filming again. We actually started filming like 2 years ago for it. But then a bunch of stuff came up and I was traveling. So we didn't really film for like a solid year from there. And then we started filming again the end of last summer for it. And so the momentum started picking up again. And then the stuff that I'd filmed the year prior, like, I don't even want this in my part anymore, you know, like it's kind of like old now. I did keep a couple things. A few of them were I did a nose manual to 180 backlash down a handrail. That was really early on. And also a wall ride 180 to backwards grind on a ledge. Those two were probably the only ones that I kept from that time. And then the rest was all filmed within the last 11 months. And, the first like couple months of filming, I'd just gotten like finished with, you know, getting married and the wedding and all that planning. So I was like fired up to like get back into it and start filming. And so we just started like going to town, and then COVID hits, and then it's like, you could look at it two ways, you know, it's either like, you know, this is like a bummer. I can't travel. I can't do anything, like, and not trying to be selfish, you know, because like I know how gnarly it is out there for everybody. It's not just, obviously not just us, but or you try and turn a bad situation into a good one and hit up Vish and be like, hey dude, let's keep cracking at this video, you know, like and from the beginning, him and I were driving separate, and we weren't even in the same car together. We were trying to be as safe as possible. And things started working out really, really well because no one was out. We were filming at these buildings and nobody was there. So we were getting tricks like way quicker than we normally would. And I wasn't traveling at all. So I was 100% of my focus was going to this video. So it really ramped up, and I had a lot of things in mind that I wanted to get for it. And I was exploring a lot. I was doing a lot of spot searching during that time. So it was like kicked into like super overdrive, like full 100% passion, 100% drive. And yeah, it was yeah, I'm really stoked on how it turned out.
Now, is this graphic that your name is written in, is that something that you created?
Yes.
It's different than your traditional font.
Oh wait, you're talking about, I'm sorry, no, my name, that's just Old English.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay,
I'm sorry, yeah. The actual Nativeland graphic with the poppy flowers, that's all my own. I did that on my own, and I even did that's the first motion graphic that I've ever done as well. So yeah.
You actually did the animating in that.
I did the animating in that, yeah. I did it on my iPad in stop motion. So I just kind of drew it, and then I drew a couple different frames of the poppy growing, and obviously the words and the number coming in. And I don't know, I was pretty stoked on how it turned out. And then Vish was like, dude, you should make the flowers turn orange at the end. So I figured out how to do that too. And it was just cool. You know, it's like, it's cool learning new stuff and being able to apply those things to things that you're already passionate about.
Yeah, no, that definitely stood out at me as a cool graphic, and I just assumed that Vish did it. So that's cool to hear that you did it.
Right on.
So your first clip that actually has your name over it is a ditch spot, and it's basically a really big wall ride drop. What can you tell us about that clip?
I could tell you that was so much scarier than I thought it was going to be. It was terrifying, and I couldn't figure out why, but it all makes sense now. It's because normally when you wall ride something with a drop, you can see where you're going to land and you're able to visualize it more. This is literally a kicker. And from where I was, when I worked it out in my head, I was like, dude, this is like so deceiving because the rounded top, it was throwing off my perception, and it was making it seem like it was lower to the ground than it really was. When I actually factored in where my tires were going to go and the drop, it's 12 feet. It was a 12-foot drop. Yeah. So I realize, I'm pretty sure when I do wall rides and wall rides to drops, like 12 feet's kind of like the max for me. Anything more than that, it's like the chances of me holding on are really slim. And so I was having a hard time getting myself to try that, to be honest. Like I don't like to take a lot of run-ups at stuff because it spooks me more than it helps me. Dude, I took like 30 or 40 run-ups before I tried it. And then I tried it and I landed and I bounced. And then I was like, I have to do this again. Like, this sucks, you know? And because I had bounced off my bike. I didn't even land it. And so I got back up there, and it took me a while to even try it again. And then when I did, I landed it second try, but it's the one that's in the video. And even then I landed and I bounced. Like, it's just like, it was right at like the level where it was like, I was free falling for so long that it was hard to like brace for my landing in the time that I normally would, because I couldn't spot my landing. So I braced a little too early. So I was dropping for a long time like this instead of like evening out and then like dropping my back wheel. So yeah, it was really scary. And I was like, dude, I'm not doing this again. We're just going to have to run it. Like, I know I landed a little weird, but sometimes I think I prefer those landings in videos because it shows like, yeah, dude, this was hard for me. You know, this was scary for me. So you get what you get sometimes.
I definitely like the rough landing on it because it emphasizes how crazy it is. If you would have landed both tires same time, perfect, and rolled away, I probably would have been like, that was cool. But after actually seeing you, it looks like a crazy high-speed stunt, you know?
That's kind of why. It's like, it looked loose enough to be enjoyable, you know? And I think back on probably the biggest wall ride drop I've ever done was in my Talk is Cheap part. It was my Ride BMX cover that I had. I landed and I bobbled too, but it wasn't like the same kind of bounce. But like, I think, dude, you almost have to just embrace that that's what happens, because essentially when you do a wall ride, you're this way, and then you have to land this way, and your body and your bike pivot. So it goes from there to there. So it's like, it's really hard to do that with a big drop and still land two tires and roll away, you know? So yeah, that or I'm making excuses.
Simple physics. That makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah.
There's a clip in here that you had mentioned you liked, I also like. You ice pick grind a very long ledge to wall ride. Tell me about this clip. COVID clip.
Yeah. So that is in a business complex that in no way would you ever be able to ride on a normal day, even on a weekend. There's so much security there. And it's not like there's that much there, but there's a bunch of ledges and a bunch of weird angles and stuff. So it's like, if you had time to come up with something there, you definitely could. And in the very beginning of like the lockdown, when I was out spot searching solo, I pulled up and I was like, oh my God, dude, like this long ledge to wall. It's like such a good setup. And the only thing that was bad about it was right in the middle, there was like a big chunk out of the ledge. You know, sometimes when they make the ledges, they notch it. So there's this massive notch. And I'm like, dude, like, I would love to try this ice pick to wall ride, but this notch is here and whatever. And, but since everything was shut down and no one was there, I just went one morning and I just bondoed the hole. Just went there. I just put some Bondo in there and I hit up Vish. And I think that might have been, I want to say that's the first thing him and I filmed during COVID, actually, was that. That was like pretty early on. That was like a couple weeks in, because like I said, we were trying to take it serious, you know, like we were being distant. And even then he drove separate. We didn't even fist bump after I did it or anything. Like, it was just like, it was so early on that we didn't know what the hell was going on. But I realized that day that I was like, dude, like, we really got to take advantage of this. You know, we got to take advantage of the fact that we could ride these spots that we normally would never be able to ride, you know? So, and I actually went back the other day to check it out, and the Bondo's still there, but the buildings are back open. So good luck if you guys want to go get it.
So right after that clip, you have a pretty cool, good use of spot clip where you hit a kind of like a wedge to wall, 180 Smith to 180 Smith. Tell me about this one.
I had that in mind to do for a long time before I actually did it. I had found that spot a couple years ago and I was like, dude, that's such a good like launch to wall. It'd be perfect to do the wall 180 Smith, you know? And originally that's what I was going there for, was wall ride 180 Smith. And then you just land fakie and pull it, you know? But when I was doing it, I was like, oh, I could probably like switch to the like forward Smith, you know, like wall 180 Smith. And that's what I did. But, then I did that and I did it a couple times and it was working really good. So I'm like, oh dude, I'm going to try and do wall 180 Smith 180. Cause I'm like, I already did the first part. I could only add to it now. And, I tried that for like 2.5 hours and I could not do the Smith 180 because the ledge is like super gritty and chunky and it wasn't letting me slide enough to get like a pop on the 180. And then I started realizing, I was like, dude, it's like sometimes there's too much gravy on the dinner when you're adding too many tricks on top of one another. And I went back and I watched just the wall 180 Smith and I was like, I think I like the way this looks better than doing another 180. It's just going to be like, it's going to be confusing if I just keep throwing stuff in there. So, so I ended up just taking that and I still really like that trick though. And that day was super strange because that is the most fatigued I have ever gotten from trying a trick in my whole life. And I don't really know why. I know it took a long time, but I got like physically ill for like a day and a half after trying that one for so long. And it was super strange. Like I got like almost like the flu from trying a trick. Like I got a trick-induced flu. So so it stands out for that reason too.
My favorite clip in this whole video is the one where you're adding a wedge to wall, you do a 180 up to 180 back, wall ride to 180 in. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I love that clip, man. So I was this came out last week and I was actually on a trip with Nick Bruce. And Nick was in the middle of doing something important, and I literally had to pull him away and like, hey, man, just ignore your phone call for a second and watch this one clip, because this clip, just the symmetry of it is just so perfect. It's just an awesome clip. Is there anything, like, was this a long one to get, or is this just something that looks awesome?
I really appreciate that. And tell Nick that I said thank you for, you know, getting off the phone and watching a trick. You know, that means a lot. But yeah, that's one of my favorites too. And I didn't realize it was one of my favorites until we started editing the video. And even with like the few people that we had showed in the editing process, like, and when I say few, I mean like literally like 2 or 3 people only, all of them had like, you know, had a reaction to it. And like, not like saying like, oh dude, that's like making me think higher of myself, but more so like, there's something about that spot. And it's like, I think it has to do with what you're saying. It's like the symmetry of it and the way it looks and the angles and everything. You don't find spots like that, like ever. Like, I don't know if I've ever found anything like that other than that. So, and and I didn't even know what I wanted to do there. I had found it and then went back with Vish like 2 weeks later. And we had already gotten one other trick that day. And I can't remember what it is off the top, but I remember that was like, that day was going good too. So I was like, let's keep it going, let's go to this ditch spot. And I started doing the 180 up and feeling out the wall. And it was really hard to figure out because the bank was really steep and I had to go really fast. And then when I would land, I was going so fast that I couldn't snap out and do the rollout. That's why, like, in the video, there's a clip of me running down the bank because I tried to snap and I was going so fast that it pushed my front wheel into the ground and I almost like indoed. So I had to figure it out. And when it worked, even when I was rolling away, it happened so quick and it was so like pop, pop, pop that I was like, was that it? Like, did I do it? Do I have to do it again? But yeah, I'm really stoked on that one. I think that's going to be something that I remember as like one of my favorite tricks that I've had from the series for sure.
It's very powerful. It's proper use of the spot, and it just looks good. You're going fast. Everything about it is just perfect. It's a perfect clip, which is a rare thing to find in BMX.
Thank you.
So let's talk about the last two clips in this. So your second to last clip is a really cool roof trick. You essentially do a bump jump to over feeble 270 in, and then 180 off the roof. And this is just, once again, the opposite 270 right into your normal 180. The back and forth looks really cool, and it's just really, really good spot usage, a really cool spot to begin with. What do you remember about this?
So I had found that spot like probably 2 months before I went there and filmed it with Vish. And I maybe even longer. It might have been a while before that. But I remember that was another spot that I'd found, and I'm like, this looks really cool. I don't know what I want to do on it, but I want to get something, So so I think me and Vish showed up there randomly on a Sunday. And there was like cars in the parking lot and there was people there. So we're like, dude, it's just not going to work. Like we saw some kids that were skating, they got kicked out. And it's just like, dude, this sucks, whatever. And Vish ended up having like some other stuff going on that day. So I was like, dude, just like go do what you have to. I'll come back and check it out like later in the day. And if it's like a go, I'll call you. Maybe you can come back out. And sure enough, I drove around and I searched for a little bit that day, came back in the afternoon. No one was there. Gate was open, ready to go. And I called Vish and he was back in Long Beach by then. And this spot's in like kind of like southeastern Orange County area. And I hit him up. I was like, hey dude, like we're good. Let's do it. And so yeah, he drove back from Long Beach, and it's like a 30, 45 minute drive. Showed up. I was already like on the roof checking it out, like getting ready to do it. And yeah. And then I started doing the bump feeble 3, and I didn't know if I was going to like just drop off the roof after, or if I was going to be able to like 180. I didn't know what was going to happen. And the first time I did the bump feeble 3, I was just in the position, I'm like, I'm just 180ing. And I just like thought of it like in that instant. And I almost landed it first try, but the 180 was like decent enough size drop to where like when I landed, I think I flew off my bike. I didn't fall, but like I like just bounced off. And I think I had to do the 180 3 or 4 times before I landed it. But right before that go, one of my best friends, Cody, showed up because he had asked where I was, and I told him where I was. And he comes around the corner like literally as I'm about to do it. So he was there when I made it, and it just like in the clip, I go up and like we hug and everything, and it was just like, I don't know, it worked out really cool that it all happened like that, and he was there for that. So also,
I like video. Go ahead.
Sorry. Another thing about that spot is when I had found it a while back, I told one of my friends that's a pro skateboarder, Dane Berman, about it. And he actually got there before me and got a trick on it like months prior to me doing anything. So in his last zero part, you could see him, he skates the ledge into the roof and then drops off. So him and I have shared a couple roof clips in the past, so it's kind of cool.
I like clips like this where when I'm sitting here watching the video, I just assume it's your ender. And I'm like, hell yeah, that's a solid ender. That was really badass. And then the video goes on, you hug Cody, like, yeah, cool. What a good ending, good feeling. And then you got one more clip, unexpected, you know? And, you know, what the hell are you going to do to one-up that? But you come through with a crazy wall ride pocket combo, back to what you were talking about with Nativeland 2, I believe, and just totally take it to the next level. So you have wall ride to gap pocket wall ride. So tell us about this. This is another one of those spots, and this doesn't look like a spot. This doesn't look like it should be a place where this type of riding should take place on.
Yeah. So, yeah, this trick means a lot to me, actually, because randomly found it while riding around back in like November of 2019. So a little less than a year ago. And I was like, oh my God, like, dude, you can do a pocket wall, gap wall here. I've never seen this setup in my whole life. Like, and I look for this type of stuff all the time. Even to this day since then, I have not seen that setup again. And there's like the cool little curb cut on the way in. So it gives you that extra little bump to get up there. And I was like, dude, this is amazing. I have to try this, you know? But the crazy thing about it was, and I didn't realize it until I started getting into it, was since it's not a 90-degree first wall, it made the second wall more than a 90-degree. So you have to do a wall ride and over rotate. It's past 90. So basically you're doing this wall ride to wall ride, and then you have to yank like harder than you were. Sorry, you got to yank harder than you would if you were going to do like a wall ride 180 to keep your bike in that position. And I learned that really quickly when I was just basically doing this wall ride and slamming into a wall with my elbow super hard. And it got dark that day, the first day that I was trying it, and didn't end up making it. I went back there 5 times, I think, total before I ended up landing it. Every other time I would try for like 15 or 20 minutes, and then we get kicked out. And I at one point I was even like wearing a long sleeve when I was trying it with one of those elbow gaskets over my elbow, because I was hitting my elbow on the wall so hard that like I literally thought I was going to break my elbow, because I'm essentially doing a pocket wall ride and yanking and running into a wall. It's not like it would be like, oh, my tires would hit and then it'd go to my elbow. Like I was literally wall riding into my elbow. So, and then even the day that I landed it, it was like, it was so crazy because we showed up in the afternoon, and I took a different runway in than I was the prior tries. And, it ended up working way better going that way. And it all just came together. It was like, almost like, the best way I could describe it is like, it was like a Rubik's Cube, and I was sitting there turning things, and finally all the colors lined up. And then it was like, oh, I know what I'm doing now. And then I did one, and I think I put my foot down, and then I think the next one I landed it. And back to what we were talking about earlier, when like you do like a bar spin off of a curb after you do something, I almost freaking bar spun off the curb after. And I'm so glad I didn't. It would have literally ruined the clip. It would have ruined the clip. I had to like land it, and I was so excited. I had to tell myself, just put your head down. Just put your head down right off the curb. So like you could see it in the video. I literally put my head down and roll away until like I'm far enough away to like put my head up, and then I like jump off my bike. And it was like, dude, I was just so relieved, because when you battle something for that long and you go back to a spot that many times and you finally make it, it's like there's no better feeling, you know, there really isn't. So
it's funny watching this clip and hearing you talk about going to war with this trick, because like you said, it was so hard to figure out. Once you figured it out, like this, it looks just like it works. Like in your clip, it looks like if you were like, oh no, this was like first or second try, you could have convinced me, because it looks so good. It looks like you have it all figured out. You know, it's crazy to think about. We talk about that first wall ride in this where you land and it just looks crazy. So it's cool that it looks crazy. This almost just looks like perfect. Like it just works once you dissect the science and figure it out.
And even like when I landed it, Vish was like, dude, I did, based on all the other tries, he's like, dude, I did not think it was going to look that fluent. I thought like you were going to have to take one where you like kind of splatted or whatever. And I was surprised too, because like I said, almost every single one, I was just slamming into the wall, whether it be my pegs, my elbow, my tires, whatever. Like I got broke for that one. So when everything lined up and I was able to roll away and it worked as good as it did, I was like, oh my God, like it just happened. Like, hallelujah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's one of those where it's worth it. You know what I mean? When it all works out like that, it's like you're not crazy. You looked at this and thought this should work, and it worked perfect. Like, you know, you have the architecture behind this. You know, you understood it, and you could break it down in your brain and be like, this will work for this trick.
Took a couple hundred tries, but it happened. That's all that matters.